Good evening. We're here for a public hearing. I'll read the public notice. And without objection, we'll set the adjournment for the public hearing at 6:58. Hearing none. The Board of the Commissioners of the City of Mount Juliet will consider the certificate of compliance application for retail stores and the second and final reading on December 9th. We've got 3 items for this hearing. The first is to rezone approximately 10.5 acres of the property at 1030 Nonneville Road, map 50, parcel 100 from RS40 to RS30 PUD, and to adopt the preliminary master development plan and to amend the land use plan from low density to medium density residential for the property known as Godfrey subdivision. The second item is to amend the fiscal year 2022 or 2025 budget ordinance 2425 to accept the grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and appropriate funds for DUI traffic enforcement for the Mount Juliet Police Department. And a third is the annexation and rezone of approximately 17.4 acres of property located at 0 Ritter Drive, map 76, parcel 21.02 from Wilson County R1 to RS30 PUD, and to adopt the preliminary master development plan for Whispering Meadows. The public is invited to attend and comment. So if you'd like to address the Board of Commissioners with a comment, we'll open the floor. I'd ask you to come to the podium and you'll be recognized for 3 minutes.
Hello, David Rast, 8017 Ritter Drive.
Thank you, sir.
Just got one quick comment just for your consideration. I ask you to honor the Planning Commission's recommendation, a negative recommendation on Whispering Meadows. The residents speak as a collective that they are against it and against the construction that would occur on Ritter Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name's Steve Pearson. I'm 8751 Saundersville Road. I own some property right there at 43 Sports Road. I got this letter from y'all, and I don't know what RS40 to RS30 means. That's what I'm trying to find out today. I called the 2 people here, this Sheila and Emily, but I never got any word back from them. I'm trying to find out.
RS40 is a complicated way to say basically an acre lot. Okay. RS30 is a complicated way to say basically a 3/4 acre lot.
So they're wanting to put 1 acre lots on that 10.5 acres.
Well, it's a PUD, so it gets into more in depth than that. But it's essentially, I think, 11. If you're talking about Godfrey, I think it's 11, 11 lots in there.
11 lots. Okay. So
that's how memory serves.
Yeah. I got this letter. I just didn't know what it meant, and I never got a phone call back from anybody. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, Anita Carver, 1061 Nonneville Road. I'm here about the Godfrey subdivision that's going to be exactly across the street from where I live. I have no problem as far as development, housing and stuff. My problem is we have enough issues on Nonneville Road like it is, and where they say that they're going to put the entrance, that's a blind hill. And I mean, it's dangerous through there. We've had several wrecks through there. So I just want to see if y'all would take that into consideration, if something else could be done besides putting it where it's supposed to be put.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, can you get with the young lady, because I believe that is all county road through there, subject to the road commission. If you could get with her, they can go through the nuances. Name and address for the record, please.
Yep. Doug Giacomelli, 5010 Winslow Drive, Kelsey Glen. I've spoken to the board in various iterations since we started the conversation about Whispering Meadows. And I just wanted to come back because we're bringing this up again for another point of conversation with some realistic impacts that have happened since we've had multiple conversations about this. A lot of the conversations we've had around this has been around the safety and granting variances. We realize there's a difference between a variance and a potentially gross negligent variance. And the safety is the biggest issue that I think a lot of our residents have. And I'm going to share a couple of quick examples of what's happened as recently as this past weekend. Saturday night, I live on Winslow Drive. I'm not directly affected by Ritter Drive, but Southampton is a road that actually leads right to my driveway. I have three ways to get to my house. I can go Ethan, I can go Winslow, or I can go Southampton. Southampton is 23 feet wide. I was trying to come home. Usually I go Southampton because it's a direct shot to my driveway. Saturday night coming home from shopping at Providence, I took a left like I very frequently do, and there was emergency vehicles parked taking care of one of our residents. There was a fire truck, there was an ambulance, and there was a police car that was taking care of one of our residents. I was unable to pass through there because the road is not wide enough as it is. I turned around, fortunately, because I had another way to get home. Right behind me was a large truck who actually lives there. They also had to turn around, go all the way around, and come up the other side. Again, they had a secondary entrance to be able to get to their home, so they weren't as affected by it. Very similar to this, what has happened in the past on Winslow Drive about 2 weeks ago during one of the football games, one of our neighbors was having a nice little party. Love it when they root for their teams, and they had people parked on both sides of the road. And we were coming home from Oxford Drive, going down Winslow Drive. And as we were coming there, we stopped to try to let the FedEx truck come through since there was barely enough room for one vehicle. The FedEx truck tried to, and before it took out the mirror of one of the cars, it literally had to turn into somebody's driveway, go all the way around and back up Winslow and come down just to get there. If a FedEx truck can't get through and we had to squeeze through, we're going to have a lot of problems trying to get any emergency vehicles to another 20 some houses beyond Ritter, especially since Ritter Drive is actually a foot shorter and narrower than both Winslow and Southampton. Bennett Drive is what feeds feeds Ritter Drive and Oxford Drive. And about a year ago, we had a similar situation that I actually happened to be there when it happened. They pulled in there. There was emergency vehicles right there. Ambulance pulled in off of Oxford, could not get to where the fire truck and the ambulance or where the police already were. They had to drive all the way back around, down Oxford, up Ritter, and up the other way in Bennett just to get to the person there. There's no other access there. We're not opposed to development. We love the idea that we've got more potential neighbors. We're opposed to the fact that they're using Ritter Drive as the primary access, especially since this was originally planned with access on John Wright Road, which is the way we should be recommending to try to go forward with this.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
David Farmer, 8015 Ritter. I do live on Ritter. I am directly affected by this proposal. So I'm going to read a statement. Good evening. I'm here as a resident of Kelsey Glen who is directly affected by this vote. I strongly urge the commission to vote no on this development for multiple reasons. Mainly, I spend most afternoons with our two boys playing on Ritter Drive that is proposed to have exponentially more traffic if this vote passes. Every afternoon, I've got a 15-year-old and 11-year-old. And I know this is anecdotal, but it does really affect that because I'm not the only dad that is out there with their kids every day. Or mom. I see families outside. It is a very active community, and Ritter Drive is not prepared for this development. With all the various devices and distractions available to kids, I'm sure we'd all agree that we should encourage our kids to be outside as much as possible. This discourages that. Our family and many others paid a premium for these lots with the idea that the cul-de-sac would be permanent. Taking that cul-de-sac away heightens the danger for my kids and all the other kids that play in that area every day. I know for a fact that each of you have received emails with very detailed reasons why this development should not be approved. On top of that, as you know, the Planning Commission provided a negative recommendation for this proposal. Add in all the community input you've heard, not just tonight, but previously, or read in opposition, it should all be reason enough to vote no. Even if you have the slightest doubt in your mind, vote no and avoid setting a terrible precedent. At the very least, I would implore you to discuss and choose a following amended proposal. Have the builder amend the PUD and begin the process over. This is dirty, it is not clean, and we all know that. Connect via the Western Connector, which should have always been the plan, as the previous gentleman said, for development. Using Kelsey Glen is an absolute gift to the developer. It's a gift, and it's a big middle finger to all of us. Send this proposal to the county for consideration. As you know, many of us have spoken passionately on multiple occasions about this project and its negative impact on our neighborhood. I would hope, as leaders in our growing yet still very quaint community, you would honor those concerns tonight. We sincerely ask that you vote no on this proposed development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for the Board of Commissioners?
Hi,
Name and address for the record, please.
my name is Rachel Hatcher, and I live at 975 Nonnellville Road. So the Godfrey development across the street. I've been on that road 63 years. Do any of y'all travel that road every day? Okay, so you have no idea what the traffic is like on that road. I can barely get out of my driveway. Look at behind me, my bumper, someone's riding my bumper. When I get up to the golf course entrance, they'll come out around me in the turning lane and fly past me on the road. That's an all the time occurrence. I noticed on some of the information that it says the site distance profile submitted was adequate. But yet you have something about some flashing signage 24 hours a day. Well, if the site profile is adequate, why do you need flashing signage? You know, other streets don't have that. People frequently pass other people on the double yellow in front of my house. If I do 35 miles an hour, and I do, I've been saluted. I've had a fist thrown up at me. I've been cussed at. The 35 mile per hour is not enforced whatsoever. And ask the school bus drivers, because cars are all the time running through their stop signs. I just urge you to seriously think about this development. And it's not needed on that very busy road. It's not adequate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Josh Lee, Thompson Burton on behalf of Kelsey Glenn HOA. Just a couple brief comments on the Whispering Meadows proposal that's before you this evening. You all have received a number of letters from us, a number of comments, a number of emails. Thank you all for your time and reading those and responding to those. We do appreciate that. We come in opposition to the proposal as it's submitted, which includes 22 homes to be serviced solely by Ritter Drive. And this isn't just an increase in traffic, it's the only way to get into this subdivision. And so this newly proposed subdivision. And so we oppose it for that reason. One of the things that is for consideration for the commission are the legal standards for a variance. And we respectfully submit that it doesn't meet those legal standards, including that it is injurious to the public based on all of the reasons that you've heard through our previous submissions, through our comments tonight. The narrow access lane isn't sufficient to serve this number of homes. In addition, one of the requirements of a variance is that it would, you've got the public infrastructure there to support this development. And we submit for the same reasons that we've discussed, the public infrastructure is not there. This was designed as a narrow access lane only to service the homes that are currently there. There was no compliance with the temporary stub out requirements of signage to be put there for it to be marked on the public documents. It may have been marked on some construction plans, but it wasn't marked on the public documents to give notice to the public that this was going to be a temporary sub out street. And just to reiterate, there are some alternative solutions, including development in this area, access to John Wright Road, access through the Western Connector if that gets developed, and as well, if this gets rejected and perhaps goes to the county, we respectfully request the opportunity to have these same discussions with the county, not to assume that the county would grant all of these same variances, but to allow us the opportunity to have our voice heard at that point as well. Thank you for your consideration.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your comments. With that, we'll conclude our public hearing and we will reconvene for our regular meeting at 6:30. Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30. We have a quorum present, 4 of the 5 members of the elected body here. So I'll call the meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. For the purposes of a quorum, I believe I see 5 of 5 commissioners present. So we do have the quorum present, so we will proceed pursuant to City Code 62210 to conducting the business. Good evening, and I thank everyone for attending tonight. My name is Mayor James Manus, and on behalf of the commission, staff, and everyone here, thank you for taking time out of your night to be with us here today. Tennessee law gives everyone the right to participate, sit through these meetings, and observe how the business of the city of Mount Juliet is done. Our first item on our agenda tonight is the setting of the agenda. So if you need copies of the agenda, they are in the wire baskets by the door. If you're following along online, there's agendas there as well. That is the order in which we conduct the business. We will follow the agenda tonight. Without objection, we'll set the agenda as published. Hearing no objections, we will set the agenda. Our next item on the agenda is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. I'd ask our city manager, if you would, sir, lead us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Absolutely. If everybody could bow your heads with me, please. Heavenly Father, in our hearts we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. I pray that we seek you for advice. Let us not make decisions based upon what we know, but let us act based upon your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord, for we place this meeting in your hands. We place our hearts and our minds in your hands so that we may direct us all. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Everybody now join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item is the approval of the minutes from our last commission meeting, which was on November 25th. Is there a motion for the minutes? I have a motion and a second. Any changes, questions, or comments? All right, all in favor of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes do carry. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments. At this point in the meeting, we'll open the floor up for any citizen comments that you'd like to make, similar to the public hearing. If you would like to come forward, we'd ask for your name and address. Unlike the Planning Commission, this is the only opportunity for citizen comments in the part of this meeting. We'll leave the floor open and hear from everybody that we can tonight who wishes to address the board. We just want to point out that the board's under no obligations to respond to questions from the floor. Please address any comments you have towards myself. If needed, I can direct some staff members to try to answer any questions that we have. Just ask that you keep it cordial. And with that, I'll open the floor. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
All right, my name is Carl Bonert. I live on 6017 Whitworth Drive in the Kelsey Glen subdivision. And I think, as has been previously said, there's lots of documentation as to why this Whispering Meadows subdivision should not go forward. I'm just curious tonight if there is a representative here from the developer that wants to develop Whispering Meadows that could share with us the positive things about that development and how it is going to benefit the city of Mount Juliet. Does that person exist? Well, obviously they're not here, but there are a lot of us here with the negatives of why that should not go forward. Like has previously been stated, there's no logical reason why it should go forward. The whole thing just seems illogical. I would like to request that the members of the Board of Commissioners that are here vote this down because it just makes no sense whatsoever. The only thing that makes sense is 1 or 2 people are going to benefit from this in a huge financial way, and the rest of us in the subdivision are going to benefit from it in no way, but in a negative way. I do not live on a street that directly feeds into Ritter, but I've been on Ritter. I have friends that live there. And I can tell you a fire engine or a bus will not make it down that street with a car parked on either side of it. It's totally illogical. It does not make sense. I don't get it. Please do not vote that this thing go through. It is not right. If it does, I believe it's a complete and total betrayal of the people that live on Ritter Drive by the city of Mount Juliet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else to address the Board of Commissioners?
Hello, my name is Ron Tebow. I live at 8009 Ritter Drive. And as I said before, as the previous fellow said, I can't even back out of my driveway without hitting a car that's parked there, which I actually did the first few months that I lived there. I actually backed into the cleaning person that was cleaning the next door neighbor's house. And I was like, oh, wow, I'd never have been on a street that narrow before. It is super narrow. Yeah, I think one large kind of medium-sized car would make it very difficult for anyone to get by, especially if there is an emergency and there's other cars there or football game or something going on. I think it's a hazard. Can I also get a raise of hands sorry, I'm kind of nervous, of all the people that oppose this development? Okay. What else can I say? Oh, and somebody else mentioned paying a premium for the lots there. And I actually did pay over asking when we purchased our home about a year and a half ago, thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a cul-de-sac for the rest of our lives, not knowing, oh wow, that wasn't quite true. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else for the Board of Commissioners?
Doug Giacomelli, 5010 Winslow Drive again. I know I talked previously about the safety issue with the emergency vehicles with the specific examples that I think are very relevant to this particular situation. Another commentary that I've brought up in prior meetings is the number of students and school buses that we have feeding our neighborhood right now. And that has been an ongoing concern. We've asked the city multiple times for help with stop signs, conversations of how we can kind of help all the speeding that we've had through there. My concern now is we're looking at adding additional houses to this potential community, even if it is a separate community, is the fact that as I watch the buses and the routes go through when they actually run, they will run through our neighborhood through wherever there is a way to go through street. They will not go down any cul-de-sac road and then figure out how to try to turn around even with the roads that are there. If we're going to be adding 20 to 25 new homes on there, those students that are even in that new development, they're going to be required at any age to walk all the way down and probably almost to Oxford Drive, which is kind of a long way from what I can see there, and a safety issue in itself when it's there. Considering how many students we have that go darting across the street as it is, it's adding a lot more potential risk to even the students that are going to be there. I commend the commission for all of the issues you've put forward in the past. You've recently, I think it was less than a year ago, kind of put some new requirements in for all of your standards for new developments. My concern is that we are going so far over the variances that you guys just recently set to try to make an exception for this to happen, that I don't think it's the right way to do it. I've said this before, if there's a way to get that through street all the way through John Wright Road, which is the way it was initially developed, I think that would solve a lot of the problems. Buses would have a route to get through. You'd have a place for traffic. You'd have a place for construction. I do think that if this is approved, I think it should be approved with any kind of variance or with a recommendation for those updates to the actual plans. And I asked you this for the safety and for the concern for everybody that's been talking about this for over a year now.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, David Farmer, 8015 Ritter. I want to reiterate my earlier points since we have a commissioner that is here now. I want to speak so she can hear my thoughts. Good evening. I'm here as a resident of Kelsey Glen who was directly affected by this vote. I live on Ritter Drive. This will, as I told the commissioners before, directly affect my family. I strongly urge the commission to vote no on this development for multiple reasons. As I told before, I spend most afternoons with our two boys on Ritter Drive, and it is proposed to have exponentially more traffic. Listen, it's not as simple as the houses. It's all the traffic that accompanies the houses. And we all know There are so many more vehicles that are attached to every house these days, not just the people that live there. Okay. And I'm not the only parent that is outside with these kids every day. All right. Our family and many others, as we just heard, paid a premium for this lot. We bought when that phase opened, and we were sold a permanent cul-de-sac, not a temporary one. Okay. Taking that cul-de-sac away heightens the danger for my kids and all the other kids in that area. I know for a fact that each of you have received emails with very detailed reasons why this development should not be approved. On top of that, as you know, the Planning Commission has provided a negative recommendation for this proposal. You add in all the community input you've heard or read in opposition, it should be enough reason to vote no. At the very least, I would implore you to discuss and choose another option as an amended proposal. Have the builder amend the PUD and begin the process over so this can be done correctly. Connect via John Wright Road, as was stated before, through the Western Connector, which was always supposed to be the plan. We feel using Kelsey Glen is developer friendly versus resident friendly. And I would hope this board would want to take the side of residents in this instance, especially. Lastly, send this proposal to the county for consideration. As you know, many of us have spoken passionately on multiple occasions about this project and its negative impacts on our neighborhood. As leaders in our growing yet quaint community, I hope that you hear these current concerns tonight, and we sincerely ask that you vote no on this proposed development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, David Rast, 8017 Ritter Drive.
Thank you.
I'm going to repeat a lot of things that have already been said just in case you haven't heard them. First of all, residents, when we built our homes and we built on those lots, we were never informed that Ritter Drive was a temporary end, either by the developer or by any proper signing that's required at the cul-de-sac. We did all pay a premium to be on a cul-de-sac road. The Planning Commission did provide a negative recommendation for numerous reasons. A lot of those were waivers regarding facade materials, setbacks, minimum lot widths, minimum lot coverage, and most importantly, number of homes on an access lane. In addition to those issues, developers proposing to access the site during construction along Ritter Drive, and you've heard all the concerns about that already. Lastly, just ask you to honor the Planning Commission's recommendations as well as the collective will of the residents and registered voters of Kelsey Glen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to address? I see somebody.
Hi, my name is Trisha Farmer. I live at 8015 Ritter, and I just want to recognize my sexy bald husband for getting up and defending our children in our cul-de-sac. And he does play out with our boys every day. And this was not in my notes, but I just, he's a great father, and I wanted to recognize him. Okay, anyway, there's that. So here's the deal. I have emailed y'all a lot. Everyone here has gotten a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls, except for you, Mr. Giles. I know that you just got this job and it's a little hard to reach you, but I'm hoping that you'll hear the things I'm going to say tonight. And I'm glad you can make it, Jennifer. This development, I don't think anybody here has a problem with development. I think we have a problem with the lack of transparency that comes with development and with some of the members of all of this, right? So I'll just give a few examples. There's no traffic study that's been done. There was the rule that recently was brought up that stated that we had to have a traffic study done in April. It was when that last was passed, and it said that it shall be done for pre-application for a new PUD, and everyone's ignoring it. I don't understand why. It says shall. Those are all rules. We have all these other rules and regulations that are being done. Like lack of transparency. The last time this was read, Ray Justice offered an $8,000 premium to the members of our community, or to our HOA for our sinkhole, which we did have that problem, but no one consulted with Kelsey Glen and asked if that was something that we wanted. No one has had conversations with us. And for such a large development that affects our neighborhood, I feel that had the developer come to us and had city leaders facilitated a conversation, we could have had a lot more dialogue and had it be more productive. I know you all are tired of emails and phone calls, and I'm tired of them too. We've been doing this for over a year, and I would love to either be past this, and I'm sure the developer and all the stakeholders involved would like that as well. But because there's not transparency, because we've not had that dialogue, this is why we're here again. And if it gets delayed another time or deferred, we're going to be delayed even more, and it's going to continue to happen. And I just would like that, I have 35 seconds left. I'm going to talk really, really fast. 22 homes or 24 homes. I don't know what it is because it's not written down and it's not transparent for us to find. Is it a Western connector? Because the ordinance says it's a Western connector, but none of the plats and none of the drawings reflect that it's a Western connector. No one knows because none of it's in writing. And we had this problem on Ritter that everyone says it's temporary, but it's not in writing that it's temporary on any plats, and it's not in writing on any signage that's required. So I would just ask that this body lead with transparency and have everything be in writing, because we understand that my mic is turned off. Thank you so much and have a lovely day. And vote no.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Ryan Lovelace, Civil Site Design, representing the developer. We are the civil engineer and land planners. Good to see everybody. It's been since summer since I've seen you. Art, has been 4 or 5 years, so it's good to see you again. Glad you're back. I don't have a presentation tonight. Our plan is the same as it was before. Y'all added 6 or 7 conditions at the last meeting. Like one of the folks said, there was a condition of $8,000 per lot, which typically that goes to road improvements in the area. The body decided that should go to the HOA of Kelsey Glen rather than to the roads. So that $8,000 was switched over to the HOA of Kelsey Glen, and we're fine with that. This is 22 lots, next to a 500 lot subdivision. I understand Ritter Drive is 22 feet wide. That's one of your 3 standard road widths. It's been like that for 20 years. So we're here just trying to expand the city, have more residents to enjoy the Krogers and the Publix and the great restaurants that Mount Juliet has. Same lot sizes, same home sizes, same comparables. So just here to answer any questions y'all might have, and would love when this item comes up to be able to come up here and answer any questions you guys might need to be answered. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else for the Board of Commissioners? All right. And with that, seeing none, we will close citizen comments, move on to commissioner reports and comments. Would like to point out no mics were turned off during the No, it's just a timer. With that, we'll recognize Commissioner Giles for his comments.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to let Commissioner Mullally expand on this too, but hopefully some of you out there were at our Christmas light walk last Monday night, because it was fantastic with the snow. And so I'm gonna put that on you, Jennifer, to expand on that when it gets to you. But we had a great time. One of the things that was very important to me during the campaign was to talk about and try to express my concern and what that I would hope to accomplish in a few years dealing with Lebanon Road. And so I've not let that slip by no means. On the night that I was elected, there was a TDOT representative at my office at that celebration. I ran into another one at a church where I was playing one Sunday morning, and who had been with TDOT 30 years and told me I needed to contact them down there too, and et cetera, and we talked about it. So this last week, I was able to have a meeting with TDOT, and I met with someone from, Public Works. Matt White and I were able to meet with 4 of the top main decision makers for TDOT. And I want to go on and talk about this because it's very important on some of the things that I expect, and hopefully, even though it's voluntarily, hopefully they will do, I should say. So let me rephrase that. I hope they will. in order for us to try to expedite the widening of Lebanon Road, it is not, number one, it is not in the 10-year plan. They will assess that every year for any kind of updates that have come through that, whether it's accidents or whatever. The school, we talked about West Elementary and what's going to go on then there. There's some improvements going to happen in front of there. But in actuality, we need to bring some money to the table. And we have some already set aside. That y'all did that while I wasn't here, but we need to increase that. And we need to try to expedite this as soon as possible. A lot of your developments that's going up that directly affect Lebanon Road through there. I hope that you will open your hearts and understand that I'm going to ask for voluntary contributions of at least $7,500 a lot to go into an account so that we as a city can try to get this road widened as soon as possible. I will not stop with this. This is one of the campaign promises. I continue. I plan to continue building a relationship with TDOT, and hopefully we will see this come to pass. There's no guarantee, and again, it's not in the team, and there's nothing I can do about that except what I'm trying to say here. So I will do the best I can on that. So thank you, Mayor. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll recognize Vice Mayor Juliet at the moment.
Thanks, Mayor. And thanks for everybody coming out tonight. Appreciate the passion. It's always hard to make these choices up here. I talked to many of you this week and last week. It's great to hear different opinions, different views on how it's affecting your neighbors, as well as any other development. It's always good to hear that, first of all, that people are doing whatever they can to build here. And then it's also great to see that, that we have residents that are also passionate about, what's going on. And for many folks, if we think about this, just for the folks that were here speaking tonight, there's always that baseline of, because I always hear about how Mount Juliet was a lot of farmland and small residents. And I bet those residents were also fighting just for development that we all live in today, right? So there's a lot of things that we all have to take in consideration, that development's going to come with or without us, unless we all come together and we purchase this land, and then we turn it into green space, right? So always just put that in the back of your mind, pull up a Google map, look at your space that's around you before you get ready to develop, and say, hey, am I really willing to purchase this land in this area here to make it a green space? Somebody's paying taxes on it, farmers or just somebody that owns that land. So just think about these things as you are moving into, different communities. Moving over to some of the events that just occurred this past week. Congratulations to Lieutenant Needle after 37 years of service. That's amazing. I know it's going to be talked about later on tonight, but only met him a few times within the city, but what an honor and listen to his history that he's given to our city and help build this foundation for what we have today with safety. So thank you, sir. I see you back there, and hopefully get to spend more time with you and have a cup of coffee and hear some of these stories about Mount Juliet. Also want to congratulate all the officers. I'll tell you, it was impressive to see how many awards that were given out just the other night. It is amazing. And then to hear all of what's around us, right? When it comes to, every time that we get up here, I always tend to talk about safety of our kids, our first responders. But then I start thinking about all the different reports that I get when it comes to what is around us from Mount Juliet. We've got other surrounding communities that are not as safe as what we take for granted every day. And not all of us do take it for granted, but it is nice to know that when we go to bed tonight, there's a lot of officers out there roaming our streets, making sure that we are protected. So thank them for their service as well. Would like to just highlight, because I know it's probably going to be talked about a few times, Christmas parade is this coming weekend, Saturday. Look out for the city website as well as the parks to be looking for all the details, please. I'm just going to highlight this. Listen, we are all going to have a good time. And that's what these parades are for, is to show off all of the different talent for our students that have worked hard on these different types of floats. And it's just an opportunity for our kids that are also out there, whether if they like the bubbles or the candy or whatever it is that's being out there, or else just the pretty colors for some of these folks. As parents and adults, I will say this: it is important for all of us to focus on our kids. Okay. Our kids don't know any better. They're going to run out in the street. That's normal for them, especially when, they see other kids doing it. So as parents and adults, if you see something, say something, please. Also, when it comes down to your kids, please focus on your kids, not so much about the parade. Yes. Just focus on that. I cannot say it enough. It's always scary when these little kids come running up close to the cars. And that's the last thing we want is an injury. I'll end it with a Merry Christmas and a happy and a safe New Year's, and just make sure that we all know what this season's for, which is family together, and just be grateful for what we do have. Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll recognize Commissioner Hefner for his comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Just got a few things I want to mention. First of all, thanks everybody that came out this evening, all the Kelsey Glen residents that showed up. Your comments do, for me, they do mean a great deal to me. So appreciate everybody that's reached out to me individually with emails. Fairly certain may have missed one reply here if you sent it to me over the weekend, but it really does make a difference. So appreciate everybody coming out and those watching online. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. I haven't heard of any reports of turkeys blowing up or houses catching on fire, so that's a good thing. As Vice Mayor Trevette mentioned, the Christmas parade is this Saturday, and I do want to echo his sentiment on that. Please, I know we're all there to have a great time, but please be mindful of the little ones and the kids, because they do get a little over anxious to run out into the street and grab candy. So, and not all of us can throw the candy over to the sidewalk. So a lot of it does end up as much as I try, sometimes it just doesn't make it that far. But so please be mindful of the vehicles and the parade and your kids running out into the street. So let's just be mindful of that. Also, shop local. Christmas is a couple of weeks away. So anytime you have an opportunity to shop local, please shop local. Those tax dollars help drive. It's the fuel that drives the city of Mount Juliet's engine. So we rely heavily on those sales tax dollars. So, and that comes by way of shopping local. Congratulations to Lieutenant Neely. I don't know if he's here or not. I think I saw him 37 years. That's an incredible length of time to be doing anything. And I commend you for all your time here spent in Mount Juliet, and all the winners. Fortunately, I wasn't able to make the event this weekend. I was out of town. But I do want to congratulate all the officers that won awards during that, and just congratulate them all. I mean, they're just a very, very special part of this city. And and I'm a little biased, but we have the best police department in the entire state of Tennessee. So last but not least, Merry Christmas. Have a safe and happy New Year. Thank you. Concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, we'll recognize Commissioner Mullally.
Thank you. Again, thank you for everyone coming out tonight, and sorry I was late for the hearing. I know it takes time out of your busy schedules to come out, and it takes an effort to get here. So I appreciate all of you coming and expressing your concerns. I agree on the transparency. I would like to know, and I'm going to find out what I can, how plots or whatever they call, when it gets to the realtors, buyers, when they're selling the homes, when the homeowners are interested in buying, what's presented to them leaves things out. So I don't know the process. I'm going to try and educate myself to try and find out, because I think that's a great question of how you end up with something different that goes through the process, because it does show on that cul-de-sac that it's temporary in the construction plans. So I'm just so you know, so that I can get educated. I'm going to try my best to find out that process and how you end up with the paperwork that you're presented. As Commissioner Giles mentioned, the BPAC, which is Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee that I serve on and Commissioner Giles is the chair of. We have events throughout the year, and the one in December is our Christmas lights. So for 2 years in a row, we've gone to Willoughby Station and we have treats and hot chocolate. And well, that night, nobody knew it snowed. And that was totally unexpected, but we had so much fun. And my grandson was with us and we brought the wagon. And so no one expected that much snow, but it was really a lot of fun. So consider that next year. I don't know where we're going to have it next December. If y'all want to join us, that would be great. Let's see. Congratulations to Lieutenant Neely on his 37 years in his retirement. And I also was at the awards for the police department, their annual awards. And they do get awards and they all deserve it. And I appreciate every one of them, all of our first responders, and congratulations to everyone who won awards. And also I went to the fire department awards too also. And so I like to try and go if I can to see all that's presented, and that, you really deserve it. Let's see. Went this week to get my fourth cast, only to find out I didn't have to have another one. I thought it was for 8 weeks, but it was only 6. So that was a bit of good news. I got a removable, and I started therapy this week. So December 30th of this month, I'm having knee replacement. So I'm going to be doing 2 therapies at the same time this winter. So this winter is going to be rough. So I think our meeting is the 13th of January. So I'm probably going to be hopping in here on one leg. Let's see, I'm trying to read this without my glasses. I think that was all I had. And I just want to wish everyone a happy, Merry Christmas and safe and happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just add, I want to say thank you everybody who attended here today. Thank you for the feedback, the emails, and else. That's really important to us that we get your feedback and hear from you. I'll also point out that the second meeting that normally occurs on the 4th Monday of the month will not occur due to the holidays at the end of the year. Our next meeting will be January 13th, which will be the second Monday in January. And with that, I'll say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and recognize our city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. It's always good to see everybody and get out there and cut up a little bit and talk before we get started in the meeting. Really appreciate everybody being here and going to reflect on a few things. First of all, BPAC walks. Is everybody familiar with the Hallmark Channel? Anybody ever had to watch those Hallmark movies? I watch those all the time and have become actually a fan with my wife, who really loves them. And so what it makes you think of is small town USA, right? It makes you think of towns and what they used to be, sort of like Mayberry. I'm very fond of the Andy Griffith show and just met with Andy Griffith last week, as a matter of fact. Well, not the real Andy Griffith, is a local resident. That's his name. Fine young man, by the way. But I told him, I said, you have to market your name, right? You have to market your name. But the BPAC walk was super cool because it snowed. And if you get out and you see these kids' faces, it's extremely cold, but that's what makes it Christmas, right? That's what people used to always do. They gather on the square. Well, we don't have a square. We do events like that. The tree lighting ceremony this year was super cool. The mayor had the big plunger, like, the dynamite box, like on the cartoons, and that's what lit the tree. And the tree is absolutely beautiful this year. And that's sort of the way you hang on to your past, is interactions like this where people fellowship. You put safety first, because without your residents, you have no community. And we're really, really good at that. And that was exemplified at the police banquet. It was exemplified a few months ago at the fire banquet. And I gave a big shout out to not only the citizens, but the elected body, because we're only 35 years of age up here. So I don't see how in the world that Lieutenant Neely was able to serve 35 years. I mean, we're just 35 as vice mayor, they said before. And I think Commissioner Giles just recently turned 35, as we like to say. So we laugh about that a lot, as a lot of you do. I think, was it Jack Benny that never got past 35? Does anybody know who Jack Benny is? Some of us remember him, but I think he always said he was 35. So been a little bit silly, but just want to say thank you, everybody. I think we're extremely blessed. We did lose a local resident that I attended the funeral on Saturday. Very sad, 45-year-old man that had a brain aneurysm and passed away. Huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So just basically praying for that family and for their loss. And there's other folks that lose their lives in our community. And it's just another precious person that we've lost as a resident in our community. But I'll move on for that. Just wanted to thank everybody. But had the opportunity recently. A lot of folks have asked me about Volunteer State Community College. As everybody knows, they own 20 acres in the city of Mount Juliet. We've been trying for years to get them here. I met with the president last week here and the vice president at City Hall. They desperately want to be here, and they're moving closer to that. There's hopefully a vote coming soon with the governor that will hopefully make that come to fruition as we've all hoped for. But they did recognize the city, which I thought was pretty cool, and it's in here. And I won't get it out because I'm afraid I'll drop it and break it. But it's basically called I'd never heard of this. It's the Hal R. Raymer Society. And what's so neat about it is a lot of the people in this room couldn't afford college. When you got out of high school, you couldn't afford to go. But unbeknownst to me, little things that we've been doing over the years and supporting small businesses and what we do as a city and what you do as citizens has actually been making it. We were recognized and added to the society as a city that's helped many kids get to go to college that otherwise wouldn't get to go to college. And even though it's community college, they can transfer that associates on over to a bachelor's. So really proud of that. And they wanted to give a shout out to the elected body and also the citizens for being so supportive. And our hope is eventually that school will be here and a lot of our kids and grandkids can start their college career there and then transition. Very, very proud of that. Also, let's give a shout out to Dunkin' Donuts who tirelessly every year, not only our tree lighting, but our BPAC events. They bring coffee and hot chocolate. That's why you need to support your local businesses, because the local businesses, especially the mom and pops, are the ones that support your ball teams and the Girl Scouts and the Cub Scouts and your kiddos. And the kids that come by and try to sell candy bars at your door, buy candy bars. Even if you don't eat them, give them to somebody else. Those kids are out trying to raise money, and businesses are out trying to make money, and then they give that back to the community. So please, please, please shop local. I know the elected body's working hard with the state. Highway 70 is a state road. Mount Juliet Road's a state road. Of course, I-40 and South Mount Juliet Road. And I just think we live in a blessed community. And last but not least, I know we're going to recognize Lieutenant Neely. Lieutenant's been awesome working with you for 35 years. Thank you for being here when I first joined the city as well. Miss Pam, his lovely wife, who saved lives, all of her lives, and treated other people as a nurse. Thank you for sacrificing your husband and for the sacrifices you made behind the scenes, just like every other emergency service worker in our elected body. Thank you. Mayor, that concludes my report, and God bless everybody. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. With that, we'll move into the business portion of our agenda. We have, I believe, 13 items here to work through tonight as far as conducting the city business. And the first one of those is an item that we don't get to do a lot here at the Board of Commissioners. But as Mr. Martin said, we have a gentleman who's 37 years of experience here with us that's leaving. So I'll just read this header here for the record. A resolution honoring Lieutenant Wesley Neely and his service to the city of Mount Juliet. Is there a motion? Motion. Oh, I got everybody woke up. The item is on the table. And do we have a presentation or something, or is this just a picture? Okay. And this shows what 37 years on the job will do to one. And I was going to thank the fire department for keeping Mr. Neely's first patrol car there on their new property in the back, but then I realized that he had served longer than the horse had been alive. So, and the horse was the owners, when we had got the property, if you don't know the story, felt the horse was too old to be moved. So, I think we need to get Mr. Lieutenant Neely up here to the podium, and I don't know if he's got something he wants to say, but if not, I'm gonna put him on the spot because I don't get to run into him at as many Mexican restaurants as we frequented, because El Chico's is no more.
We can always drive to Knoxville. Just want to say I appreciate you guys. It's been an honor to have served this police department in this city. I really don't think there's anything else to say. It's been great. And I'm glad the horse is still there. That horse is not far from where I ran my patrol car under a bush hog many years ago. That's the picture of it's in the background there. Not the wrecked one. That was before I wrecked it. So I'm glad the horse is still
I don't
there.
know who put a bush hog in front of your patrol car.
Yes, it's just one of those things where you come over a hill and you hit the tractor, you hit the bush hog. So I chose the bush hog.
Understand.
Well, I'll tell you that whole story sometime.
Well, I say my first encounter with Wesley was a handgun carry permit class. And just full disclosure, he made fun of my gun the entire class. And now in hindsight, you were right to do so. I just want to publicly say that. Any comment from the board? I know our city manager's got.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to talk too much. I took way too much time at the banquet. Wesley's been protecting us for 37 years. The mayor and the commission is exactly right. This is what makes our community so great. This gentleman right here. I know that if you want to see a good Mark, a good human being and a good husband and good father, it's that man right there. Faithful, dedicated, no gossip, no negative, no nothing, no drama. Just dedicated to the department. He's been a wealth of knowledge and wisdom to the troops that we've got coming up in the department. They're going to be here for a long time. I can't thank him enough. They called him officer friendly back in the day because before they had school resource officers, it was Wesley. And he was so nice to the kids because he understood what being a kid was like, just loved on them. The day that he crashed his car was actually really close to Kelsey Glen. It wasn't something he did. He topped a hill and our bush hogger, which is the local bush hog guy, was in the road, and he'd just gotten his brand new 1989 Caprice Classic or 90 model, I believe it was. So that's before we ever really started getting any real new police cars in the city. We always got them hand-me-downs. Many people don't realize, that Mount Juliet back years ago, he was one of 6 officers that was here at that time. So when I came, I think I was the 7th or 8th, and he was one of the first people I met, and he's just a blessing to the city. But it literally chewed the side of his car open just like a tuna can. It was amazing to see, but a lot of miles been traveled by that fellow there protecting the citizens of this city. I know the elected body. I appreciate y'all being so supportive of him, but I'll give everybody a shout out again because it's the tools that you afford this police department enables them to keep our most important assets safe, and that's you guys. That's the most important thing. There's not a better department on the face of the planet that does it. You know why they do it so well? The tools help. They go a long way. Thank you on the LPR cameras, by the way. It's probably the best tool we ever bought next to the officers themselves. It's because they got a heart for service and they do it right, treating human beings right. That's the most important thing when you put that first. So you've done it better than anybody, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you to Miss Pam, and God bless you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Hefner.
No, I said it during my commission reports, but I can't thank you enough for your dedication, years of service to the citizens of Mount Juliet. Just can't say that enough. Thank you.
I've just been having fun. All the young guys are the ones that do the heavy lifting.
Commissioner Mullally.
Oh, what are you going to do with your time?
Whatever the wife tells me.
Well, hopefully she's got some good plans for you. So you ride a motorcycle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is that like a hobby?
Yeah, and when I get in her hair, that's how I give her space.
Oh, okay. Well, have fun. Be careful on that motorcycle.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Ready to vote? All in favor of the resolution honoring Lieutenant Wesley Neely, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Lieutenant Neely, that passes unanimously. So thank you again and congratulations on your retirement. The next item is a resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to the contract between the City of Mount Juliet and Nabholz Construction to establish a guaranteed maximum price for the initial phase work for the construction of Fire Station 3.
Motion.
Have a motion? Second. Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 9B carries as well. Is there any objection on the next item, 10A, B, C, and D, reading these 4 together? Hearing none, I'll read the next 4 items to be considered at the same time. 10A, which is a resolution adopting a plan of services for the property known as Whispering Meadows located at 0 Ritter Drive, map 76, parcel part of 21.02 in Wilson County, Tennessee, located within the city's urban growth boundary. 10B, an ordinance to annex into the corporate boundaries of the city of Mount Juliet approximately 17.14 acres property known as Whispering Meadows located at 0 Ritter Drive, map 76, parcel 21.02 and located within the city's urban growth boundary. 10C, a resolution in memorandum of ordinance relative to the annexation of 0 Ritter Drive, known as Whispering Meadows. And 10D, an ordinance to rezone approximately 17.14 acres of property at 0 Ritter Drive, map 76, parcel 21.02 from Wilson County R1 to RS30 PUD and to adopt the preliminary master development plan for Whispering Meadows. Is there a motion? Have a motion. Is there a second? All right. Hearing no second, the item fails for a lack of second. The next item is 11A. And let me ask this. Is there an objection to considering 11A and B simultaneously? Hearing no objections. 11A, an ordinance to amend the land use plan for the property known as Godfrey Subdivision located at 1030 Nunneville Road, map 50, parcel 100, from low-density residential to medium-density residential. 11B, an ordinance to rezone approximately 10.5 acres of property at 1030 Nunneville Road, map 50, parcel 100, from RS40 to RS30 PUD and to adopt the preliminary master development plan for Godfrey Subdivision. Have a motion and a second. 11A and B are on the table. Any questions or comments? Anything from staff? All right. All in favor of 11A and B, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 11A and B carry. The next item is 11C, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-25 budget ordinance 2024-25 to accept the grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and appropriate funds for the DUI traffic enforcement for the Mount Juliet Police Department. Have a motion? Second. Questions or comments on 11C? All in favor of 11C, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 11C carries. We'll move to new business. Any objections to the consideration of 12A and B simultaneously? Hearing no objections, 12A, an ordinance to annex into the corporate boundaries of the city of Mount Juliet approximately 19.64 acres property known as Rosemont, located at 1826 Benders Ferry Road, map 49, parcel 15.07, and located within the city's urban growth boundary. 12B, which is an ordinance to rezone approximately 19.64 acres of property at 1826 Benders Ferry Road, map 49, parcel 15.07 from from RS40 to RS30 PUD and to adopt the preliminary master development plan for Rosemont. Have a motion and a second. Both A and B are on the table for consideration. Would anyone, any questions or comments from staff? And got Commissioner Giles. Floor is yours, sir.
So do we have a representative from them? This is where I'm gonna ask for the 75. Is this right? It's been a long time. Okay.
Name and address for the record, please.
Tulsi Patel, 210 Lakecrest Drive.
All right. Commissioner Giles.
Yeah. You probably heard my comments as far as the 7,500 voluntary contribution. Would y'all be willing to do that for each lot to go into a fund to help for the widening of Lebanon Road, Highway 70? Okay, let the record speak. Thank you very much for that. One last question on that subdivision. I tried to look, of course, obviously I drove up there, but it's just raw land. What are you doing as far as lighting is concerned in there? Did I miss that on here? And I may have.
For the entrance, or?
I saw the entrance, but what about down into the subdivision? Are y'all supplying any lighting down in there?
We will, yes. Yep. We'll have street lights.
How many?
I don't know how many, as we haven't gone to the design
Okay.
phase for that, but it will be well lit.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Because that's what I'm seeing in some of the subdivisions. There's not enough light. It's very, there's a safety reason there for the residents, especially at night, obviously. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
We'll make a note of that.
Thank you.
Commissioner, do you want to make a motion on the voluntary contributions to
I do. I'll
codify?
make a motion to receive that.
And that's for widening purposes of Lebanon Road?
That's right. And that will be kept in an account earmarked for that.
We good on that?
I would just notate that each lot contributions collected at the erosion control permit.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So a motion, $7,500 voluntary contribution collected at the erosion control permit to be allocated for widening of Lebanon Road.
Yes.
Got a second on that? Questions or comments on the amendment? Commissioner Hefner?
What's the estimated cost to widen 70?
A lot of money.
Goes up every day.
Give us a range.
Yeah. I can get that information to you at second reading, but I'll have to consult the Public Works Director on that one. I would think, Todd, just ballpark mid to high eight figures. Mid eight figures.
For reference, the Central Pike widening that is included in the 10-year plan is estimated just shy of 50 million. So road widening is quite expensive.
Okay. One more question. This is a legal question. As far as establishing a nexus with these funds, does this project satisfy the nexus requirements?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, there should be a nexus, but I'd probably have to defer to Todd about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there is a clear need.
So there is a correlation between this project and.
Yes, this project, even while on Bender's Ferry, is going to derive primarily access from 70.
Okay. All right. Answer my questions.
All right. Are we on the amendment?
Yeah. I
Okay.
just wanted to try to answer his question. I think during the meeting, and I may be wrong about this, and you're going to find out, but I think it was from where it goes into where the light is, goes into the 2-lane, from there to the city limits, I think was 25 million. And I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So.
I think the intention is not to self-fund the entire thing.
Oh,
but
no. But the
to get a
more
big
we
enough
have,
to
absolutely
spur TDOT's interest in
Yes.
there. Yeah. Unless you want to pay for the entire thing. Vice Mayor, did you need?
Well, I'll just wait till after we vote on this one.
Okay. Perfect. All right. All in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Back on the ordinance as once amended. I'm going to take this opportunity here to just I'll make a motion that we adopt under planning item 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Be happy to read those variances. 13, it says the Planning Commission provided a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners for a waiver to allow front-loaded garages with 2 decorative garage doors separated by a 2-foot minimum brick or stone column on Access Street. 14, Planning Commission provided a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners for a waiver to allow 26 lots on a cul-de-sac. Number 15, the Planning Commission provided a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners for waivers for bulk standards as follows: front setback 30, rear 20, side 10, minimum lot width 75 feet, cul-de-sac 35 feet, lot coverage 40%. 16, which is the Planning Commission, provided a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners for a waiver to allow home facades to consist of 50% brick and stone, 50% hardy board with batten. Vinyl shall be prohibited. And 17, the Planning Commission provided a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to a waiver to allow the disturbance slope more than 20% in cut conditions only. That's my motion that we adopt these 5. Got a second on that? Any questions or comments on these? Commissioner Mullally, you're recognized.
No, I was going to second.
Oh, gotcha. All right. All right. All in favor of the 5 variances, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Back on the ordinance is twice submitted. And I did discuss with a representative from the project on here, based on the distance from the fire station. I would also like to request that the houses be sprinkled in addition. All right.
We accept that.
All right. I'll make a motion to that the houses be sprinkled according to, and I think the fire chief can give me a reference to what we want to hold that standard to. 13R. NFPA 13R. And was that second? Yes. Any questions or comments on the advisement of sprinkles? Sprinkling, I guess. Sprinkles sound like we're doing cupcakes. All right. All in favor of the amendment to require sprinkling according to NFPA 13R, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Vice Mayor, your floor.
So first of all, thank you for bringing this project and thank you for the contribution. Obviously, it's volunteer, and I appreciate the Commissioner Giles for looking forward thinking when it comes to what our current residents are dealing with, which is many, many delays. I drive that every Sunday, if not more. Wanted to find out, because I know you got other projects that are going on. When do you see this one kicking off, and just project it by the time you finish it, just so we could be able to get an idea?
So we don't think we'll start touching the ground until end of 2025.
Okay,
beginning of
2025.
2026. And then our finish timeline is about 24 to 36 months after conception.
Okay. No, that's all I needed. Just wanted to make sure, because I know there was some discussion there that we had talked about a couple of months back, and I just want to get a better idea there. So thank you.
I've got one.
Commissioner Giles.
So on your plans, your plat things, it shows the pictures of those homes that you're proposing. Are those just renderings that could be, or are those truly some that will be?
We intend for some of those homes to actually be part of the plans that we offer. This is going to be a custom neighborhood, so we will allow
I understand.
residents to have their own plans. And
Those
all.
are beautiful.
Yeah. But we do intend to follow the color palettes and.
No.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get.
No, we're still on the amendment, right?
No, we've adopted all 3 amendments.
Okay, so this is the plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. I like this plan a lot. These are very, very nice homes. It's 26 and the density is 1.3. Yes, and the minimum lot size is 15,000 square foot and the average is 21,000 square feet. So that's awesome. This is again a situation where Planning Commission voted a negative or gave a negative recommendation. So, so again, just like Whispering Meadows got a negative, this is another one. I personally really like this. I was trying to figure out why it got a negative. All I can figure out, and maybe Commissioner Hefner can give some input, but it doesn't have an access. It does. It's one entrance, one way in, one way out. It does in the back part adjoin the Traymore project, but this is a separate development. I like the fact that it doesn't connect. These are higher class homes. So I do like, and I think there was some discussion about a private road, which the developer doesn't have a problem with. So I don't have a problem with that either, as long as we can keep the connection out of the discussion. And the only other thing were maybe some amenities, but I don't think they're really needed here. It's only 26 homes. So I personally I don't really know why the negative came. Honestly, I don't, but I really like this project.
All right. Anything else, Commissioner? All right, I'll go through, went through the variances that were on there. I think these need to be codified under the Public Works section, which is under number 1, it says staff supports the disturbance of slopes exceeding 20% in cut condition only. No fill shall be allowed in slopes. We've adopted similar for planning. And number 2, which is to exist steep slopes, 20% shall not be permitted within the building envelope per land use code. So, and then 12, which is, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up tonight. Number 12, staff requests that the developments be served by private roads. I want to move that these be adopted as private roads built the same. And then number 15 and 16, staff supports variance number 1 for guys. We just adopted that under planning. And then under 16, adopt variance number 2 for the cul-de-sac. So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt these and set the streets as private. Any objections? Any concerns? Was that a second? All right. All in favor of adopting these variances in private streets, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now we're back on the ordinance as 4 times amended. And I'll start. Any comments, questions from staff?
No, sir.
All right. Commissioner Mullally?
I forgot to add, just so the public knows, this is a county road, and the Wilson County Road Commission would require 2 turns, a right turn northbound lane and a southbound left turn lane, right?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
That's going to be up to the Wilson County Road Commission. They're almost definitely going to require the northbound right turn lane. However, roads that generally lead to the lake tend to see most of their residential traffic head south towards town. And in cases with small unit counts like this, they might decide that southbound left turn lane is not necessary.
Okay, so but it's up to them.
That's out of our hands.
Right. Okay. I just had forgotten to mention that.
All right. Just a procedural question for our deputy city manager. We are not having the meeting due to Christmas for the second meeting this month. And they were skipping a meeting. Even though we're not having that, will they still be back for second reading on January 13th? Okay. So we'll be back for second reading, assuming it passes tonight here for January 13th. Any other questions or comments? All right. All in favor of the ordinance as amended 4 times, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
C, which is an ordinance amending ordinance 2431 that extends the sunset date until December 31st, 2024, which amended ordinance 2024-5 Part B of the Unified Development Code of the City of Mount Juliet, known as the zoning regulations, by amending Article 3 use regulations, adding Section 3-108 temporary events, use and portable buildings to include mobile food vendors, food trucks, regulations for residential and industrial districts to extend the sunset date from December 31st to 2024 until blank. Motion. Second. All right, the item's on the floor. Commissioner Hefner, it's under your sponsorship. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so what I'd like to do is extend this another year. Sunset runs out at the end of this year, so second reading will actually pass in beginning of January if it passes tonight. I do have a question for Ms. Luckett. With this, we've got a full year under our belt now, but have we had any? Do we have numbers of food trucks that have applied for licenses? Do we have an idea of how big or small of this food truck ordinance is driven?
Yes, sir.
All right, so since it started, 36 vendors have filed for registration, but not completed it. 25 have completed registration. So we got 25 that are registered to operate in the city. And those 25 food trucks have participated, let's say, in 56 mobile food vendor events, some event that they went to operate. A lot of those are in neighborhoods. We had 11 different neighborhoods that had food trucks come and set up at least once.
Okay.
So that's food trucks only in this first run. About $2,500 in revenue collected via the permitting process so far.
Okay.
So that's what it was first pass here this go around.
Okay. Okay.
Was that a motion to set the date for December 31st,
Sorry, yes,
2025?
that's a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Milletti.
On that report, do you have any that you found that didn't comply with the ordinance?
Those were grandfathered in, I believe, in the code. If you don't have one, if you didn't have a permit, you could continue. But different location, different spot, would have to reapply. I don't know if that includes. I know there were a handful of them, but I don't have a hard number on how many were pre-existing. It wasn't as many as we thought.
Okay, I want to make sure we're keeping up with those
Yeah.
two. Okay.
Vice Mayor.
Just got a quick question. So I know, remember, we were talking about looking at, there was a possible hiring another position. We didn't do that at this time, correct? Because it wasn't any additional work.
We actually did at the time because we were expecting, I guess you'd say an onslaught. It was a budget position, but that position will be transferring to a vacant position to fill that position. So it'll be going away.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, because I remember that was a, discussion. Just want to make sure that we didn't get ourselves in a situation where we were going to be spending more money towards this. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Giles.
So $2,500 in fees, they will also have to pay city tax, right? On the products? They do. Okay. So obviously we don't know that number. Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering about that. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready to vote on the amendment? All right. All in favor of setting the sunshine date, expiration date at 12/31/25, please signify by saying aye. Aye. So we're on the ordinance as amended. We've set the date as 12/31/25. Is there any other questions and comments on the ordinance? All right. All in favor of the ordinance as once amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries, and I'm assuming, I believe this will be back January 13th regardless. All right. Next item is 13A, a resolution authorizing the mayor to grant a certificate of compliance to operate a packaged liquor store. A motion? And a second. The item is on the table. I'll just start off by saying, I think from a legal standpoint in our ordinance, congratulations, all three seem to comply. So I'm going to ask our city attorney for some guidance on this, and if you've got any suggestions on how to move forward with this, I'll give you the floor.
As you all likely know from the code, there's certain criteria that the board is allowed to consider. It's 3 very specific criteria. The first being that the applicant cannot have been convicted of a felony within the last 10 years since the date that they applied. The second is that they have to comply with any local rules, ordinances, resolutions only as they relate to the location of the proposed liquor store. And the third is that they comply with the city's regulations as to how many liquor stores can be in the city. So starting from the bottom going up, we are currently, based on our latest census, actually allowed to have 2 liquor stores added to the city. The second one about the resolutions, ordinances, city laws relating to location, planning actually submitted a document, I guess you could say, basically checking off and letting the Alcohol Beverage Board and the Board of Commissioners, letting them know if each applicant fulfilled each one of those conditions. And they are essentially yes, no, pass, fail questions. At this time, all of the applicants meet all of those requirements, and all of the applicants are also felony free. So, so that's good news. So with that being said, essentially every single applicant meets every single condition that the board is allowed to consider. So my recommendation is that the board consider the applicants in the order that they were received. Per the code, the applications are to be date and time stamped when they're received. So each application right at the top has the date and the exact time that it was given to the city recorder. And so that is my recommendation.
Does anyone have a summary of the order?
I'm sorry, I can provide one if you'd like.
Could you just, if you could, just read them off?
Yes, number 1 was Golden Bear Wine and Spirits.
Okay.
Number 2 is Beckwith Wine and Spirits. There's actually 2 Beckwith Wine and Spirits, so I'll
Popular
give
name.
the applicant name. The second one was Beckwith by Naren Patel, and the third is Beckwith Wine and Spirits by Priya Patel.
Okay. As they appear in the packet.
Yes, they are
All right.
in the order in the packet that they were received.
All right. If maybe the best way to do is just read the first one out and take a vote on it, or does we want to have any discussion on these beforehand, or?
Yes, I would suggest that the board make a motion for the first applicant being Golden Bear Wine and Spirits. To add to that motion, I would also recommend that the board deny the remaining 2 applicants per our code. If they are not denied, they're automatically granted in 60 days. So we need to make sure that we include the denial for the remaining 2 applicants. And the basis for that would be that liquor stores have to be 3 drivable miles apart from each other. So as soon as the board decides to grant one of these, the remaining 2 automatically don't comply with that part of the code because they're all within 3 miles of each other.
So an automatic denial for the other 2 based on proximity to the one granted.
That's correct.
Because they're all going to be mutually exclusive by the radius.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
So I just got a quick question. So you said that with the new census that we can have 2 more
That's correct.
and we have 3.
It's every 8,000 in population we can add a liquor store.
Correct. So, so if we're going to take your recommendation, which let's just say that we go by, just for example, that we were to go with the first person that put their application in, then would you recommend what, maybe a raffle, or would you just say the next person that put their time in would go if they're willing to relocate to another 3-mile radius? Is that what you're?
We would have to reopen the application process
So then
and
they would-
announce that. So for this process, we posted it in the paper and on our website. Per our code, everyone has to be given at least 10 days to apply. So we'd have to reopen the application process.
Just a question of curiosity. If there'd been a 4th applicant that had applied outside this 3.5, we could accept 2 here tonight?
Correct.
Okay. But because they are in that 3.5 mile bubble of each other, no matter which one is selected, it's going to automatically exclude the other 2.
That's correct. And it's just 3 miles, not 3.5.
Well, I was trying to give a little grace. All right. Any other questions or comments?
So I've got a question.
Commissioner Giles.
So if we do it this way, then are we able to ask each one of those some specific questions on their building? I've got a specific question I want to know.
I suppose you could ask, but it shouldn't be part of the consideration unless it has to do with the location of the building.
Well, it has to do with safety.
You can ask. I would just recommend or caution you to use that answer as part of your vote.
Then I won't ask it.
All right. I'll move to adopt the first applicant, which is Golden Bear Wines and Spirits LLC, and to deny the other two applicants based on proximity. Got a second? Any discussions? Vice Mayor?
Just want to make sure that, that I'm understanding this correctly, just to clear up. This was the first applicant, is that correct, that put in their application first?
Yes, that's correct.
Just want to make sure. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
All in favor of Golden Bear Wine and Spirits LLC, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we have, is this the completion? Because we do, this was, I presented as a motion. Should we go back and adopt this?
I don't think I'm following your question.
Well, I just said I moved to do this. So do we need to adopt the resolution formally after that? Because that would be amending the resolution to adopt Golden Bear Wine and Spirits.
Yes, technically, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. We're back on the resolution as once amended, which was to approve Golden Bear Wine and Spirits LLC and deny the other two based on proximity to that location. Any questions or comments on the resolution? All right, all in favor of the resolution as once amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 13A does carry with the amendment of Golden Bear Wine and Spirits LLC. And our next item on the agenda is the adjournment. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second, all in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're adjourned.